Welcome back to Raina Teachings. My name is Camacho, and I channel a beautiful being named Raina. And together we help you to heal, grow, and expand your consciousness. I'm going to talk tonight about the Ouija board. So it is a wonderful tool that is often misinterpreted. But before we get into that, I want to ask you to like and subscribe if you are getting value out of these videos. And also follow us over on Instagram where I post things that you will not find here on YouTube. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the Ouija board. So the Ouija board for me personally did not come into my life until I was already a trance channel. And I think that was actually a benefit for me because I didn't have, some of the stories that some of you have about using the Ouija board as, a kid or a teenager and being afraid of it. So that was really beneficial for me. I actually knew somehow not to use it as a kid. I didn't know why. I was fascinated by it. I loved the way that it looked and everything. But I knew somehow that I wasn't ready for it, I guess is a better way of me putting that. So before I go forward, here is a picture of a Ouija board. If you are wondering what I'm even talking about right now, that is a Ouija board. There are many different styles of Ouija boards. They are not all called Ouija boards. Some of them are called angel boards. Some of them are called talking boards, but they all have the same function. And that function is to communicate with spirit. Often people think about communicating with deceased spirits with the Ouija board, but you can also communicate with guides or inner spirit teachers, as Raina likes to call them. And that's actually what I use the Ouija board for. In my channeling class for years, I have used the Ouija board. It is something I learned from my own teacher. And using a Ouija board is really as your Ouija board skills are as good as your channeling skills or your mediumship skills. Just like any other spiritual ability, the Ouija board is an ability in itself. So you might buy a Ouija board and try to use it and get like license plate numbers with things that don't make any sense. And the reason for that is usually because the person has not yet bothered to develop themselves spiritually or learn how to speak with spirit. So also, even when you have done that, sometimes it takes some getting used to the Ouija board and working with the Ouija board for a while before you're able to kind of attune yourself to it. And just to give you a little bit of background of how the Ouija board works, there are always two people on the Ouija board, but one of them is the carrier. So in my case, in my channeling class, I'm the carrier because I'm the teacher. The other person is a person who is usually wanting to receive a message. And we use the Ouija board simply because there's been a lot of writing in channeling class first. So I strongly believe that you should develop a relationship through meditation with your unseen friends first. And after lots and lots and lots of writing, usually months into the channeling class, is when I will pull out the Ouija board. And what is so amazing, and everybody loves it, the being on the board that comes on the board to speak with their human will always talk about something that was not discussed in class. And what that does is there's a proof element to that. That's really, really, exciting when you're learning to channel. So that's what I've personally used the Ouija board for. I have used it for mediumship a little bit, but to be honest with you, it's a lot faster and easier for me to tune into a deceased loved one myself than it is to use the Ouija board. And the same goes really for the unseen friends as well, or the inner spirit teachers, but it still is a very, very good tool, and this is why. The Ouija board is just a tool. That's all it is. It's your skills that make the tool available to you. So if you are already working on your mediumship or you're already working on your channeling skills, when you go to use the Ouija board and you use it with the right intention, and this is really, really important. So your intention really needs to be pure. So intention and both attention. So if your intention is to get scared and to let in, something that scares you, most likely the only thing that you're going to be letting in, to be honest with you, is your ego. Your negative ego loves to use the Ouija board to scare you out of your spirituality. So if you aren't really skilled enough to keep something like that out, you're not really skilled enough to even bring in anything that would be negative. So I've had lessons with that with certain students, but I've never actually had any kind of negative spirit come in on the board. And it's because our intention is clear. We take a moment to really set our intention, which in channeling class is to communicate with a guide or an inner spirit teacher that you have already been communicating with. So that's the intention. The attention part is your attention on, is your attention on being scared? Is your attention on, oh no, what if something comes in and does something to us or says something scary? So both of those need to be really, really in check. And if they're not, I don't suggest using the Ouija board. Now, it can be fun to, if you are already on a spiritual path, if you are already working on, speaking with your inner spirit teachers, maybe through automatic writing, I do suggest automatic writing first. That is the best way to communicate with an inner spirit teacher. And that's because you have to learn to trust that the information that is coming through from them. The Ouija board is not going to help you with that. If anything, the Ouija board too soon could kind of distract you, and you may feel like, oh, well, I know when I use the Ouija board that it's not really me. Both things can happen that way. So when you're writing, you're going to go through, or automatic writing, you're going to go through wondering, is this just coming from my own head? And it's through the process of that you develop the skill of automatic writing. The same thing happens with the Ouija board. As you're developing the skill of using the board, you have to really pull yourself away from the outcome of it. Okay, so, and I want to explain a little bit of how the Ouija board works too. So when somebody is the carrier, you both have your fingers on the little thing that comes with it. The name of it is escaping me at the moment. I actually make a different one because I find that to be too heavy. So I make one out of a CD and felt on the bottom of it. It is much more, it moves a lot easier that way. But when you're on the Ouija board together, it's letter by letter. That takes a long time to happen. And beautiful messages come out of the Ouija board, don't get me wrong. Beautiful, beautiful messages. But spirit, it takes a lot of energy for them to use that tool, so they don't waste words. So the wording and the way that things are said on the Ouija board, so much is said in one sentence. So it's a good idea to have one or two other people present that can write down the letter by letter, because the carrier on the board will usually be speaking the letters. So I will be saying A, N, D, and when I get that it's a word, I may say the word, but I'm going to lose that after a while. So word after word after word, I'm not going to remember what the message is at all. And so you really get the message afterwards. Once you've written, or once the one or two people that are writing write down the message, and you stop and you have them read it back to you. And it is, again, an incredible tool. It does bypass your ego a little bit to do it that way, which is really nice. And with both of you on the board, you can't possibly be controlling a message together. It just doesn't really work that way. But it does take some trust. It does take some patience and some practice. And I do highly suggest other types of spiritual classes really before getting into using the Ouija board. But I wanted to make this video for a long time because there's really a lot of misconceptions out there about the Ouija board. Even people who are really open metaphysically, sometimes they're afraid of it, or they just think that you shouldn't use it. And you create your own reality. So whatever your intention is in using the Ouija board is what you're going to get on the Ouija board. So there's nothing in the world and nothing in the spirit world that can come onto the Ouija board and really do anything or say anything unless you're the one allowing it. So I really want to stress that one a lot. I'm a little bit of a collector of them. I have 3 boards, one that is probably an original. It's a very old one. I have the angel board version, and then I have another one that I think my husband bought me at a Toys R Us. It's pink. And I have always found it very strange that they sell it as a game at the toy store, but I couldn't resist, and so he ended up getting it for me. So they can be collector's items, and if you're willing to put in the time, it can be, again, a very good tool. Another thing that we have used it for, personally speaking, there's a few friends that we've had pass that were very, metaphysical. They were also channels, like myself and my husband are, and they were able to come through the board and give us a message after passing. Both of their passings were unexpected. So it was really nice to be able to use it that way. And I will say, the more open to spirit they were when they were living, and these 2 people were very open to spirit when they were living, it was seamless. They came through the board very, very easily. So the same thing applies to other spirits. If a spirit is not used to using the Ouija board and you're not used to using the Ouija board, you may find it a little bit difficult at first. They can learn just like you can learn. So just really have patience with it. But you'll notice if you do get a spirit who is has come through the Ouija board a lot and is very good at it, the communication and the way that the little ledger that you're using as it's moving from letter to letter, you'll find that it's very smooth and much more fluid when you're working with a spirit that is used to also using the Ouija board. So in the comments below, I would love to hear about some of your Ouija board experiences. I would love to answer any questions that you have about it. Please do not be afraid of it. Please don't let people tell you that it's evil and it's these other things. It is a tool. It's like a pendulum. It's like tarot cards. It's another spiritual tool that can actually be very helpful to your process in receiving messages. So I hope you liked that, and if you're still here, you liked the video, and so I would love it if you gave us a like. All right, until next time, much love.